Have you ever felt frustrated with not knowing where to start when it comes to practicing the piano as a music producer? Are you sick and tired of playing the same boring exercises that just seem to waste your time and really stump you when it comes to being creative inside your DAW and writing your own tracks? Well, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down 3 specific exercises that you can use as part of your morning routine, all in just 10 minutes a day. Hi, I'm Michael Emmerson, bringing you the best tips, tricks, and tools to accelerate your keyboard skills for your music production. Now, as a keyboard coach and a professional music producer over the past 15 years, I've really seen firsthand how boring exercises, scales, and also reading sheet music can really seem like a chore to practice, especially if you're trying to learn the keyboard or the piano for music production and not the traditional way. But did you know you can actually develop a 10-minute practice routine that will actually help you to boost creativity and almost act as like little idea generators for your own tracks? So let's dive into the DAW so we can take a look. So exercise 1 is something that I like to call 5-note position riffs. And the basic idea of these is that you will get your hand in a 5-note position just like this, either A minor position, C position, any of these will do. And we're only playing them in the key of C, and you're going to build a little riff or a hook off these 5 notes. So I'll just give you a quick example because it can be an excellent idea generator. So here we go. Okay, so you can see that it's almost more song-like rather than a boring scale or just up and down going the traditional 5 fingers. They're great, obviously, but they're not going to help you. It doesn't sound like a track, that, does it? So let me break this down a little bit more for you of how you could approach doing this. So basically, we only want to play in the key of C. Just keep it simple for now. And in the key of C, there's lots of these different 5-note positions. So you have, for example, the C position, and it's all linked to where your thumb is being placed. So for example, that's C position. This is the A minor position because there's an A at the bottom. This is the G position and so on. So I'm going to build one in the A minor position like this. Now, there's a few ways you can approach building one. Basically, what I like to do is use all of the beats of the bar, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and that's what we're going to use to build them rhythmic-wise. But you could use something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it's quite a good one. And maybe you can start it on your thumb if you like. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or it could be a bit more back and forth with the first note. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or even just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then what you do, once you've got a little bit of a pattern going, I'll just come up with one now. You add the bass notes in, and you can play any white note from the scale. Now, because we're in the scale of C, any of them will fit. So, for example, I could go for A first. Change. Now, because it's in A minor, you can hear that's a bit of a serious sounding one. If you wanted to be, if you wanted to make it sound a little bit more uplifting, maybe you could go for the C position, because that's where a major chord is in the scale. So for example, you could take a similar pattern, start on C. Okay, nice and simple. So let's say I wanted to record one of those ideas in now, those little idea generators that we had going just then. And then we can analyze it in the piano roll in a set. So here we go. add a little bit of difference in there. So if we just click into the piano roll set, you can see I've just used octaves in the left, okay? And then here is what we want to look at. Every single quaver beat, or every single eighth note, has been taken up by a note in the right hand. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's the rhythm you're aiming for. Now you can see I've played some of these a bit shorter there, so you can always go back in and edit it later if you want. But that I sometimes play shorter notes because I'm using the sustain pedal. But you can even play that on a different sound as well. Let's say I wanted to play it on more of a Jupiter 8 sound. Really cool saw kind of sound here. So I'll mute the piano set. Okay, here we go. And I might change the riff a little bit. So. Okay, so I added a slightly different note at the top there. So you can see, if I just zoom in a bit, you can see, change the last two notes there, but you still got the same rhythm. So let's delete that set. So that would be idea 1. And you could spend just a couple of minutes coming up with a 5-note riff and then have a go at actually playing it inside and record it inside your DAW. Okay, exercise number 2 is something I like to call the second inversion trick. And so many different major artists and producers use this trick that it's really, really handy to add in as an exercise into your morning routine. So basically the way it works is you only play second inversion chords and it will sound a little bit like this if I just come up with a slight improvisation here. So here we go. Then you can add more to it as you get a bit more advanced. For example, and you can carry on, you can make different improvisations out of it. So let's actually jump to the action cam and let's show you how you would actually play the second inversion trick yourself and then how you would change it to a bit more of an improvisation to sound a bit more song-like. So plenty of songs use this. All you need to do to find a second inversion is play a root position chord where you've got the root of the chord or the name of the chord at the bottom, like C, for example. And once you've found one of those, they all look the same in the key of C. Once you've found one of those, to find the second inversion, which basically just means you flip the chord a different way round, you would take the top note, G, and play that at the bottom. So now the root note is in the middle of the chord, yeah? Now I'll play that on the Lumi for you here, so you can actually see what I'm playing. So I've taken the top note, G, I flipped that, put it at the bottom, same note, G, and now I can basically play any of these chord shapes will fit inside the scale of C, and I can make little chord progressions out of them. And there's so many songs that use just that chord shape. And if you're not sure what the chord is, the middle note of the chord will always tell you the name. So for example, that's D, D minor, E, F, A minor, G, and so on. And then you just pick a couple of chords. So for example, I might pick F, A minor, and G. All pretty close to each other. Now you can get a little bit more advanced if you go F, C, G, or something like that. But that's a little bit harder because you have to jump. Okay, so let's just keep it simple. Let's go F, A minor, G. Okay? And that'll be your chord progression. Now, there's a few things you can do here. You could use some broken chords. For example, you could go like this. You could go like that. Top, bottom, middle, bottom, top, bottom, middle, bottom. And that would give you a nice broken chord pattern to put over the top, for example, like this. And you can add as many chords in as you want there. So you saw I changed the chords there a little bit. I added some broken chords in. But that's just broken chords. What if you could add more to it? And this is where it gets fun. So for example, we could take out the middle note and maybe just do some broken chords like this. Or maybe mix and match with the first pattern. like that, yeah? And then we can add what's called a fill-in. Now a fill-in is basically how it sounds. If you ever played drums before, like a drum fill, it fills in the gap before the next section comes in. They don't have to be really long or anything, but you could just do something like this. Let's try a fill-in, so. Now, all I did there was I just used 3 notes at the end of the second chord, C, D, E, and then 3 notes at the end of the 4th chord. Put it all together and you would get that kind of pattern. Now, you can take this to whichever level you like. So if you know a few broken chord patterns, you can have a go at doing that yourself. And this is why I've created a free resource for you called the Chord Progression Cheat Sheet, where I've basically written out a load of hit chord progressions that you can just swipe and plug into your own music. So to take advantage of that resource, click the link below in the video description. Okay, exercise 3 is something I like to call open roots and fifths. Now the way this works, if I just show you on the keys, is basically you take the root of the scale and the fifth of the scale, which in the case if we're in the key of C, would be the note C and G, and you can play them together as your right hand part. So I like to do, sometimes you might want to do 2 notes, sometimes you might want to do 3 notes, but as long as you're playing a C and a G, that is going to sound great if you put any bass note below that, okay? Because it creates more advanced chords, as I'll show you a sec in Logic Pro. So for example, I could put a C in the bass, I could put an A in the bass, I could put an F in the bass, D, E, A, B. Any of those notes from the scale are going to fit inside. And you might be wondering what I'm playing the left hand there. I'm just playing octaves spread out, but you can even play single notes of it. If you're a little bit less advanced, any of those notes will fit, but you can also put some black notes of it as well. So for example, if you're playing the C scale, any of those notes will fit, but also ones from C minor will also fit. So basically 3 extra notes for you there. Don't need to go too granular on the C minor scale, but basically if you put E flat, A flat, or B flat in the bass as well, that is going to fit, and you'll come up with these really advanced chords by not really doing much at all. For example, I play it on the main keys here like this. Maybe I go to E flat. Maybe I go to F. Maybe A flat, maybe B flat. And then when you get really good at it, you can get a bit more advanced at it because you can just basically go a bit crazy in the left hand, you can add more things in the right hand. Okay, but we don't need to go that advanced yet. Just start simple, just literally start with a G and a C, for example, like that. And then try out different bass notes. You don't even have to do rhythm to start with, you can just try out some chords. That'd be C. That'd be A minor 7. That'd be F sus2. And you can actually use, if you've got Logic Pro or a different DAW, you can look at the top and it will tell you what chord you're playing. It's F sus2. B number 3 flat 9 / sharp 5. So you can see it's a hack to get to more advanced chords. E flat 6 chord, A flat major 7, B flat again. My favorite way of playing this is with a rhythm pattern. So basically you want to put both hands together, and then my favorite rhythm pattern, or one of the most popular patterns in pop music, is this one, which basically goes together, right, left, right, left, right, left. You hear it in pop music all the time. So think Coldplay, think John Lennon, think the Beatles, Oasis, Billie Eilish. Everybody's used this pattern at some point, I think. So I could do it on a C. My right hand stays the same. Change the bass note. Change the bass note. And you can hear, you get some really different sounds. And you can change the chords quick if you want, so C, maybe D, E flat, maybe F. And the only thing I'm thinking about is changing the bass. So I did G, C, and G in the right hand, just change the bass every time. That's a hack to create advanced chords without even needing to know any music theory. And if you think about it, you could play the chord like that in your right, so C, G, C. See, it sounds pretty similar. I'm just playing the right hand a bit further up the keyboard. Pretty cool, eh? And then what you could do, you might not want to play a pattern, you might want to play more of a held chord. So maybe you could hold a chord down. Works great that. All of those 3 exercises are more song-like. You could take any of those exercises, start to boost your creativity with them, and drop them into a track straight away, and you could get an idea going. Now you might notice I was using a bit of a rhythm pattern there on the final exercise. If you're interested in learning some more rhythm patterns, definitely check out the next video where I'll break down 10 specific secret patterns that you can learn to drop straight into your music that all producers should know. So click or tap the screen to access that video, or for another Fast Track Keys video, click or tap the screen.